Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice of radio, so today I'm going to be showing you a new Carbink card coming in the Pokemon trading card game in the Fairy Rise expansion in Japan. No exact word of how and when and why and etc. We'll get this over here, but my guess is a mini set, not unlike Dragon Majesty, especially as it has been now confirmed that Lost Thunder will involve Sun and Moon 7A in Japan, and Fairy Rise's Sun and Moon 7B, i.e. this ain't coming out in Lost Thunder. We wait and see, ladies and gentlemen, we wait and see. But as for Carbink, well, a little while ago we had a bunch of Carbink coming out. We had the Energy Keeper Carbink, we had Safeguard Carbink giving immunity to EXs, and we had Carbink Break, which accelerated energy beautifully. And then GXs came along, and Carbink completely fell out of favour, and it's all a little bit sad, but maybe this new Carbink can help us redress the balance. Now it's got 90 HP, which means if we ever see a reprint of Level Ball, it's good, otherwise it's bad. And it's got a retreat cost of 1, which is nice because a skateboard should be a staple post-rotation. Reduces retreat cost by 1, meaning this retreat will be free. And then we've got a resistance to darkness, which would be nice because of Zoroark, but you got 90 HP. They'll be one-hit KOing you if they've got a full bench regardless. As for the weakness to metal, I mean, Registeel won't get a one-hit KO anyway, and Duskmane Necrozma will get a one-hit KO anyway, so in this weird situation where it doesn't actually really matter, because either they're KOing you or they're not, and weakness doesn't really come into it all that much. You, on the other hand, are hitting weakness against Rayquaza, which is huge, because firstly, Rayquaza's going to see a lot of play, and secondly, you might do just enough damage. So the first attack here is the one with which we are primarily concerned, and our translation does come, as it often does, from the lovely David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. And the first attack, double colourless energy, 30 damage. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by Pokemon which have an ability. That's right, it's not ability lock per se, it's just immunity from all Pokemon that have an ability. And this could actually be pretty gosh darn nice, because there are some decks that are just way too reliant on Pokemon that have abilities. Now we'll run through a lot of the format in a moment to really show this, but possibly the best example of this is Zoroark Lycanroc. You play and this is one of the best decks in the format right now. You play Zoroark, which has the trade ability, which helps you get a whole bunch of extra cards. But that's okay, because now Zoroark can't hurt you, because it's got an ability and you've got immunity from Pokemon that have an ability. But that's alright, what about Lycanroc? Well, Lycanroc's got an ability, and you use it to pull Pokemon active to KO them, and you use it to strand Pokemon active or whatever, but it's all irrelevant, because they can't get a one-hit KO on you. Which means, if you're against Zoroark Lycanroc, I mean, what are they going to use right now? I mean, some of these decks are playing stuff like Mew EX, but firstly, that will have rotated. Secondly, it has an ability. They can use a 70 HP Rockruff after 2 energy on a coin flip. They get a 2-hit KO. Well, that's not going to do them all that much good. But maybe they can use a Zorua here. Maybe Zorua's going to work. Thing is, post-rotation, the best Zorua we have, I mean, the one from Shining Legends, does 20 for a double colourless energy. Oh no, wait, it doesn't, because you've got resistance. They ain't going to do much. So you could potentially lock this deck out of the game. Now, here's the thing that we always need to bear in mind with Carbink. There are going to be some times you sit down and your opponent just goes, oh no, I can't use Zoroark. Oh, I can't use Lycanroc. Well, that's alright, I'll use a Tapu Lele. Oh no, that's got an ability. Well, that's alright, I'm playing an Oranguru I can attack with. Oh no, it's got an ability. And you end up just Pokemon after Pokemon after Pokemon that's got an ability, and you get completely locked out of the game by a Carbink. As a side note, obviously if that happens, your opponent can use a Guzma, but if you end up with no bench or they run out of Guzma, that's no longer an option. And with Puzzle of Time rotating out, Maybe Zoroark decks start playing Lusamine or Palpad, but otherwise they're going to really struggle to get that many Guzma. But here's the thing. They can play something else. So at the moment, Mewtwo from Evolutions is a fairly popular tech, which is used to try and take down Buzzwole decks. Now this is rotating out, but the good news is, if you like that card at least, there is a Deoxys attack form which has the same attack. And it does 20 damage, plus 20 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's actually not a bad counter for Carbink. It means you can't attach a third energy to Carbink or you're getting 1-hit KO'd, and it means you're at least getting 2-hit KO'd, and you ain't 1-hit KOing Mewtwo. So even something as simple as a Mewtwo could be a very, very good counter to this particular Pokemon. And I fear this might be what kind of happens every time we try and get into this. There's just too many other options that decks are going to have. Now the good news is you can lock a whole bunch of Pokemon out of the game using this particular attack. I mean, we've already mentioned Zoroark, we've already mentioned Lycanroc, we've already mentioned Tapu Lele. But how about Gardevoir? Gardevoir can't exactly do very much here. Whoopsie daisy. Not to mention Greninja and Frogadier both have abilities, because obviously you would largely want to be using pre-evolutions here if you've really got nothing else. Of course they do drop damage counters, so they can potentially take down a Carbink, albeit fairly slowly. It still can happen. Necrozma, that's got an ability, so you can't use that to go and try and take a KO. But then again, there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that don't have an ability. Buzzwole, no ability there, and that's one of the best attackers in the entire format. Or we could look at something like Duskmane Necrozma. No ability there, so that's going to be alright. Golisopod just does 120 for 1 energy, no ability, so that's absolutely completely on the table as a potential attacker. Garbodor from Guardians Rising. Yeah. The point I'm making here is that there are still a whole bunch of decks who, I mean, they might be playing stuff like Tapu Lele, well, they probably will be. They're going to be playing the odd Pokemon with abilities, but their main attackers don't have abilities. And essentially what this means is Carbink is not going to be a deck in and of itself. It's just not happening. There's too many good Pokemon that are seeing a lot of play that don't have abilities, and there's too many other options you've got in terms of Pokemon that don't have abilities that could be teched in to take down a Carbink. So what then is the point of Carbink? And the point very simply is, some decks won't be prepared for it. And if you can find a deck that's not prepared for it, maybe you go through game 1, and after seeing pretty much all of your opponent's deck, it becomes apparent they can't handle this. Or maybe you are just in a situation where all of your opponent's non-ability Pokemon have hit the discard, so you can bring this out. Maybe it's late in the game and your opponent's only got 2 cards left in their deck, and the only viable attacker they've got, because they're otherwise out of energy, is a Pokemon with an ability. Then you chuck up Carbink. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the point of Carbink here. It's not a Pokemon that's going to make a deck by itself, but it's a basic Pokemon that attacks for a double colorless energy. It can be put into a Gardevoir deck, or a Zoroark deck, or a million other decks. And good players will win games with this card. It's not about going, haha, I've got a Carbink, you've dropped a Mewtwo. It's about you won game 1, but it was close, and you realised your opponent was only playing one of the new Deoxys. So you wait until their 1 Deoxys and their 1 Rescue Stretcher have hit the discard, and then you win game 2 because your opponent is completely unprepared for it. Or they've got 3 cards left in their deck and they've got only enough energy for 1 attacker, and it happens to have an ability, and then you drop Carbink. Or you just show your opponent Carbinks in your deck so that they have to play in a non-optimal manner to try and make sure they don't run into Carbink, and that's a lot of fun. Now, there is a second attack here. I mean, look, it's a fairy double colorless. It does 60 damage. You whack a choice band on there, you get a 1-hit KO on Rayquaza. Life is good. I don't think it's a great attack. I think there's a whole bunch of better non-GX fairy Pokemon out there. I think Dedenne is a much better 60 damage on a basic fairy Pokemon. I think Dedenne does it better. But if you're desperate, hey, it's there. It really is all about the first attack. And I like it so much, I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I think good players can drop this at the perfect time and win games, but I don't think it's going to ever be a great deck in and of itself. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.